Hello, hello, everyone. Monica's already here. Hello.
Hello.
Just saying hi for the replay people. We're talking about our May live show, His Forbidden Touch by Shelly Thacker. Cute.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so pretty. I have no idea where my copy is. I read the ebook, so I don't know where my copy is. But yeah, this one was like a medieval bodyguard romance. Our heroine was betrothed, and then the king's like knight, who was kind of like alienated from society, is supposed to escort her, and they end up having a romance. So a lot of tropes, like freaking road
It was
trip, one
so
bed,
tropey.
yes,
Yes. Yeah.
bodyguard. So many amazing tropes,
Yeah.
which were all my favorites. Hello, hello, hello. A Strange and Stubborn Endurance. I love that fantasy book so much.
I was trying to read the cover of that on there.
Oh yeah, it's A Strange and Stubborn Endurance by Foz Meadows.
Oh, okay.
And the Avalanche.
Yeah, I know Monica read it.
I know. I was looking
What
at
did you guys give it?
I gave it. I was going back and forth. I don't know if I want to give it 3 or 4 stars because I did really like it, but it definitely wasn't like my favorite historical. So maybe a 3.5. I'll stick with 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
I
already saw Christy's rating.
I
gave it 3 stars. I had like high expectations, and then I feel like the middle just dragged and slowed down for me.
That's fair.
I read this all today, and I gave it 5 stars. I loved it.
You gave it 5 stars? I love that.
The tension between them and the angst, and like he was like, "I can't be with you." Well, first of all, because it's like his best friend was her brother that died, and he's like, "And I betrayed your father, and you're betrothed," and all the twists at the end. I like it.
But you also love a bodyguard romance. That's
I
like
do.
one of
So I was like, this is literally like so many tropes that are so popular today because we have like the only one bed, we have the bodyguard, brother's best friend, like tortured hero because all of his family's dead. It was so good.
Yeah, the tropes are very Jessica, so I could totally see you loving this book. It was a good book. It was a good book.
And it was just a lot of fun.
You just binged it today, this morning?
Yeah, I was on page like 20.
Oh my god.
Read it all.
I surprisingly finished it a couple days ago.
I need to do that. I did that for Ravished by Romance, but I did not do that for this one.
It just depends. I ended up getting the ebook for this one, so I ended up reading it really quickly on my Kindle.
But like compared to the ones we've been reading, this was so good.
Last month's wasn't bad.
The what?
Last month's wasn't bad.
That one's okay. I think I gave it 3.5. That was just like, yeah.
But that one has some of my favorites. Like Beauty and the Beast retelling is one of my favorites.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I liked that one more.
You like that one more?
Yeah, I gave it like 3.5/4.
I had 30 pages left of that one, and I have not gone back and finished the last 30 pages. It's okay.
I just love a Beauty and the Beast retelling, so that is biased.
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah,
but I've never read another Shelly Thacker book.
Her writing is just so easy to get into.
Yeah,
like because there's some that like a couple that I DNF'd like 2 chapters in. I was like, these are so like wordy and like historical, especially when it comes to medieval. But I thought it was really good.
Like the one.
Well, you've read another one by her, right, Jess?
Yeah, I read one that was like a ship one. I don't remember if he was a pirate, but they were at sea.
You liked that one too, right?
Yeah. I just really like it. I don't know why I liked it so much more than everybody else. But
maybe you just read it at the right time too. Like it hit all the tropes for you.
Yeah, and I was really excited.
Gave it 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A 4-star. It was a good book. It was a good book for sure.
I did like how it just drops you right in the action and like they're in a battle and like it's already setting it all up. That was fun.
Ooh, a time travel one.
I was trying to see, like, guess who else got books. Because I was assuming, like, the friend that they went to stay with, I'm assuming they have a book.
So it did. I was looking at it, the series. It doesn't look like any of them are connected, and like that.
Oh, really?
I think it's like this whole like she went with this like kind of royal or forbidden theme and just made like different books, and they're all kind of like one I think is fantasy, one's time travel, this one's bodyguard. Like they're all very kind of fantastical and different.
But, like, this set up so many other characters so well.
I know, because I thought the guy at the end was gonna get a book, so I looked
The
at and he's not
prince?
on any of the couples. Yeah,
But they set him up. He's like, "I have to marry now." And I'm like,
I
"Okay, go
know,
look at his book." Like,
I know.
weird. There's a fantasy
I think so. Let me look at what it said.
one?
Yeah,
But
it
I
says
just
these are
like
stolen brides. One falls through time. One finds herself married to a dark stranger. One may never reach her royal wedding. One is abducted by a mysterious swordsman, swept away to a secret island paradise. Three royal brides are about to discover that falling in love with a warrior is the most dangerous adventure of all. So they're all kind of like different. But there's 5 in the series. Yeah. The Scottish one actually sounds kind of good too.
I have to see how many of her books I own. I have a bunch.
Oh, the
Yeah, I
Scottish
didn't
one's a
even
holiday
realize it was
novella.
the 3rd in
Okay.
a series until I went on Goodreads to, like, rate it, and I was like, "This is book 3?"
I know. I saw that too. Which, yeah, I think they're just like standalones within this like series she wanted to do, I guess.
Interesting.
I would read the time travel one. I like time travel historicals. Those are always fun.
Me too.
The one we read was a lot of fun with,
Great
like,
Birds Are Small?
was that
Oh,
the
the
one?
Jude Devereaux?
Oh, A Knight in Shining
A Knight
Armor?
in Shining
Oh,
Armor?
yeah, 'cause wasn't she married to that not married or dating that awful guy with that
Yeah.
awful daughter? And then, like,
Yeah.
she,
Like in the 80s?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That one
But
was
we
fun.
but we read a Birch Small one. I think it was called A Moment in Time.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Where wasn't it, like,
Crazy. Bonkers.
they were, like, kept
That one
on
had
meeting
so many
throughout
tropes.
time because they were, like, soulmates, right?
Was it?
Wasn't it
Maybe it was
the
the one a
very
while
end
ago.
of them, like, meeting in the present day again as, like, different people?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. Okay, wait, side note, this is not about the book. But my dad the other day, he comes to me, right? He started working nights. So sometimes he has moments like at his job where he can have something like playing in the background because there's not a lot of people around. So he comes to me, he's been looking for these new shows, and he's like, have you by any chance heard of Outlander?
Aw.
I was like, yeah, that's a really popular show. And he's like, oh, okay. And he was obsessed with it. Like he finished the first season in like one night or something. Yeah, it's funny. And I thought of you just
That's
because
cute.
you're obsessed with Outlander.
So good. I don't watch it anymore, but
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Phantom in Time. That one was
Mhm.
not great.
it was fun.
It was fun, yeah.
Like, some of them are fun. Like, at least it's just like a
Mhm.
entertaining good time. Yeah.
That's the thing though. It's like when it comes to time travel, like how can it not be silly and goofy? Like
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be over the top a bit.
Son of the Morning by Linda Howard. I don't think we've read a Linda Howard book, have we?
Mhm. She writes suspense
Mm-mm.
She writes what?
suspense now.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
so
interesting.
many. So many of them
Or-
do.
Are either of you on Threads?
No.
Yeah.
So Joanna Shoup posted. Did you see that, Christy?
Probably not.
Okay.
What'd she say?
Let me pull it up. Because I had talked to her about historical romances when I saw her at Polycon.
Uh-huh.
And so she says that a rebranding of historical romance is necessary.
Yeah.
She says, say what you want about covers and format, which are challenges, but there's also a perception problem of what's inside the book. And so people sometimes see like historical romance and think it's not like a romance and they're not spicy or anything. And so we need to like rebrand, including the covers. And I'm like, but they've tried with those annoying illustrated ones and they're not doing anything. But it's very interesting. Because then all these people are commenting on it.
Yeah.
But
The
then
marketing of
what
their
kind of covers is she thinking they should go to?
I have no idea. Because she says, like, as a whole, like, it's a struggling genre. And something
Yeah.
has to change because Bridgerton is not translating
Yeah.
into, like, success for the genre.
Yeah.
I feel
Or
like
is
they need
she
to go
maybe,
back to,
like,
like, bodice
going
ripper covers.
yeah,
Yeah,
going back
because
to
that
bodice
is
rippers?
obviously, like, romance if you see that on the cover.
I know, but then she's also saying, like, that needs to change.
Hmm.
But that's not what we're getting with historicals right now, we're getting those illustrated covers and the, like, cut off the
Mhm.
Yeah, so, Carrie and Cole.
mhm.
Mhm.
I didn't mean to do that. You see my hand, I was
Lacey
like,
her yesterday, Lacey got balloons behind her. I don't know what she was doing. But Carrie and Cole redid her cover to, like, a sexy couple instead of just,
Yeah.
like it was, like, a photograph before, like, kind of more artsy. Sales tripled
Yeah.
for having a sexy romance cover, and she's like, "I am never again not doing a guy or something romance on the
Yeah.
cover."
well, I mean,
I
so,
believe
like,
it.
was it no, it wasn't Megan Quinn. Maybe it was Megan Quinn, who did,
Mhm.
like, her books as, like, a
Yes.
historical clinch cover.
Yeah, like
Katie
anniversary
Roberts
editions.
yeah, Katie Roberts did that. A lot of authors are doing that and finding success, just not historical romance authors. Sorry, I gotta charge my laptop.
Yeah. Well, the historical romance thing is interesting because, I mean, they tried to switch to those, like, mass market, whatever thing books, and then they tried to do the, like, Bridgerton-esque covers, but
That was a
then now a lot of stores don't even carry mass market, so it's like and nobody wants to buy, like, historical romances in trad size, like, people like them in mass market size.
Yeah.
But, like, Barnes& and Noble is, like, phasing them out, Target doesn't sell them, so it's like,
Which, like, what is people's problem with this?
that's what I wanna know.
The
I
font is
think it
the
was
same size.
I think it was like an oh, no, not the covers, the actual size of it,
The
sorry.
size.
Yeah.
Like, why can't you read this?
I
You
know.
get wait, you get mass market in fantasy. Brandon Sanderson has freaking mass market in his fantasy books, and those still get published.
Yeah, I don't get it.
But they are spicy.
Oh, okay, that's what I was gonna say. So, I feel like originally when it first came out, there was a perception of, like, oh, it was, like, women's porn and
Mhm.
things like that. But now I feel like it's the opposite, and people have this misconception when they look at it, they're like, "Oh, that's like your grandma's romance." You know what I mean? So, again, it
Mhm.
is just the perception of people just
Which is
judging the genre.
wild because, like, they used to be so popular. Like, I was even looking at Lisa Kleypas because we talked about Lisa Kleypas yesterday, which also Lisa Kleypas blurred this. I don't
I
know if you
saw that,
saw.
yeah.
I was like, I love that. Because I meant to look if Shelly Thacker was even writing still, which I don't think she's
Mm.
writing, but, how it like Lisa Kleypas used to be a New York Times bestselling author. Like, historical romances used to be on those lists, and I don't even remember the last time one was, except for Bridgerton because of the show.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I think their sales have been affected if they're not in, like, mainstream US bookstores.
Yes. Because then Target stopped. I remember Sophie Jordan, because Sophie Jordan's now writing fantasy. I just got her fantasy book in the mail.
Mhm.
But she was talking about how Target's not, and this was what, last year? This was Polycon 20 when we all went, 2022? Because
Mm.
that was when,
Tessa Dare and stuff was there.
Dare was
Oh,
there.
yeah. That was
Yeah,
fun.
and Sophie Jordan was there, and she was saying that Target that's the first time I had heard Target's not carrying mass markets anymore, and I was like, "Oh, that's
Mhm.
weird," because like, they're, like, grocery store romance novels, like, you get them in the grocery store, you get them at the corner store,
Yeah.
like
That was the marketing for it when it first
yeah,
came out. And someone asked, I don't think it's a niche subgenre because it was the subgenre. Like that is the
yeah,
building blocks of romance was historical romance.
Mhm. Well, like, Barnes& and Noble are phasing them out now too because they have a new like, a couple of the stores in the US have already started that, and, like, they're getting rid of mass markets altogether in their stores as they rebrand.
mhm.
So it's gonna
I
be
would
interesting.
go, like, on release day for some historical romance authors, they didn't have it. I'm like, "It's
Mm,
the release day
Yeah.
of this book, and you aren't carrying it?"
Yep. The publishers as well, I feel like they're not putting marketing money behind their historical romance releases. They did start to do more stuff for them with Bridgerton, like, popularity the last couple weeks, but, like, I feel like they don't push their historical romance releases.
No.
I know. I think they did a post, like everyone was doing the post, like what historicals to read after
Mhm.
Bridgerton, and I think Avon did one like that. And I was
Yeah.
like, You don't even market your historical romances.
Well, and their historical romances are rom-coms now,
Yeah.
Mhm.
which is, like, not what I like. I don't want a
Yeah.
rom-com historical romance. I want
Yeah.
a normal historical romance.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the people who read rom-coms aren't picking up historicals, even though I feel like it's again that perception thing. Like so many tropes that are in the contemporaries that they like are also in historicals. Like that's where they got them from too. So
Mhm. Well, I think a lot of them got like, the authors and the publishers, like, got into that, like, cancel culture thing where they didn't want to, like, ruffle feathers, and they wanted to keep it very, like, as far as the themes of the books, like, they didn't wanna push the envelope too far, so they kinda went the more rom-com, lighter, fluffy stuff, but it's like, that's
mm,
not what historical romance readers are wanting to read.
No.
yeah. And
Mhm.
also, like, at least in my area too, I would get all of mine at used bookstores, and so many used bookstores ended up closing because of COVID. So
Mm.
I definitely feel like this is gonna be like a documentary sometime, some way, because it's like
The
very
death of the
interesting.
historical romance.
Yeah, to see
The
the
Bridgerton.
trajectory.
Well, but, like, so when I was reading this, I was like, "This is literally a fantasy without magic." Like, she's
Mhm.
betrothed to someone, she's a princess, he's her
Yeah.
bodyguard, they're riding the horse, and I've seen a couple posts by people who said, like, "If you like romantasy, read historical romance." Like, we have the
Literally.
battles, we have the alliances,
Mhm.
the politics. So it's like the
Yeah.
audience is there, but also Joanna Shupe made a good point where, like, romantasy is huge on the rise, but that term is recent. Like that term as a genre is only
Yeah.
like a handful of years old. And that's really like surged. They're like, okay, there's always been fantasy with romance, but like now we've labeled it romance fantasy. And
Mhm.
so like she said that needs to be something to do with historical romance now too, where it's like there's some new kind of she wants it to be bodice lit, which
Mhm.
that doesn't
Oh,
roll off the tongue well. But I don't know if that's the answer. I don't know.
yeah. That would be interesting if they recoin a term for it or something. But I can get it. I get like, actually, I didn't read them for a long time because I also didn't know there'd be actual romance and, like, thought there'd just be
Oh,
history
okay.
in them and thought it was
Oh,
historical
really?
fiction. Yeah, like, I never read them because I thought they were just historical fiction. Like, I would watch actually Jess's channel, like, years and years ago, and when he talked about them, I'd skip that part because I was like, "Oh, I'm not interested in that book." Like, it took me forever to realize
What
that
did you
they
think
were.
the covers meant?
I don't know, like, I was like, "Oh, that's, like, another term for historical fiction," but she's trying to, like, or they're trying to sell it as there's romance in it, but, like, yeah, I thought it was more historical fiction heavy, like, for the longest time, and I was already a romance reader, so, like, even I wasn't getting it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Body split, I don't like that personally. Personally.
I think they're trying to get rid of the word historical in the title so
Yeah.
that people don't get
Um,
confused.
so it's
Mhm.
not connected with historical fiction?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, like, there's some of them have very little history in them. Like, it's just
Yeah.
the setting.
Oh,
There's
yeah, just
others where there's, like, dense history, which we've read, but
yeah. But those are older
Mhm.
ones. I don't feel like any new authors really do that too much. I
Yeah.
mean, some are though. Some are like Beverly Jenkins
Mhm.
has history, like a whole
uh,
freaking chapter at the end of all her references.
Yeah.
the oil rigging one we read.
Oh, the oil hanging. You know what? Every time we read one of those, I always come with like,
I
I
know.
did not know this fact, and I Google.
You learn
You do
something
learn
new.
things in some of them.
Like in the Australian one, I had to like Google an animal that I did not know
Oh,
existed.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
agree with what, Desiree just said, yeah. I thought they
Like
were too.
Jane
I didn't think they were
Austen.
spice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you thought they were like kind of like how inspirational romances are, where they don't actually have steam in them,
Or, like,
maybe?
fade to black, like, they're just, like,
Yeah.
so historical heavy and the romance was like a subplot and, like, they would just fade away or, like, hint at what they're doing, you know? That's what I thought too.
Which is so interesting because, like, the genre is basically based on, like, assault. Like, heavy, like,
Yeah.
non-con in these romances, like, dark romance is, like,
Mhm.
the basis of the genre.
Yeah,
Like,
Kathleen.
people don't know that, I feel like if they're not into, like, books as much as we are or, like, into, the history of romance books.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
That is
Yeah.
so interesting now because okay, so what's that Daniel L. Jensing book? It's a fantasy with Vikings, right? Which
Rating
people are
the
gonna
blood.
pick up, but then
Yeah.
people aren't gonna read an actual Viking historical romance. Interesting.
Yeah, I think they need to ditch the historical word too.
Okay. Some of them
It's
are slow burn.
romantasy without the fantasy. I mean, because most, like, fantasy is, like, historical time period.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Because if it's, like, today, it's more so, like, urban fantasy. So, like,
Mhm.
most but they don't use, like they don't say historical fantasy, they just say fantasy. So I don't know what a
Yeah.
good word is.
It's the building blocks.
That's it.
And if you ask like certain
Mhm.
authors, they will even say like their
All of
inspiration
them
was
read historical.
historical. Yeah.
Mhm. But
And
then
there's
how
some
do you get
authors,
contemporary readers to pick these up?
yeah. Like Siemnas Costa, she says that one of her books was based off Gentle Rogue by Johanna Lindsey.
Mhm.
There's other authors who like pull inspiration.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic and conversation. Like, I wonder if publishers are even trying to, like, think of this, like, behind the scenes or if they're just, like, giving up and trying to push other stuff instead.
Yeah, I mean, because they see like the hype over fantasy right now. I think they're just like riding that train instead of focusing on. I
Yeah.
think okay, here's the thing. I think that marketing and publishers are not setting the trends. I think social media is setting the trends like Book Talk and the bookstores and, the publishers are just piggybacking off of that. So they're not
For
like
sure.
trendsetters as they used to
Oh, yeah.
be.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just my opinion. I don't have
Mhm.
no facts to back that up.
Well, it's true, and I feel like that's why they pick up a lot of already popular indie authors who already have that built-in fan base. They already have the marketing, like, the social media does its own job for them, where the publishers can just, like, pick it up and run with it, you know?
Exactly. They're just
Easy. It's an easy paycheck for them.
mhm. I agree. I agree. And then, like, what are the authors supposed to do? Are they supposed to, branch out and write a new historical, or are they gonna look at the trend and write something that kind of falls within that?
So I'm just, like, scrolling through Joanna Shoop's threads now, okay?
Uh-huh.
And so Harper St. George
Okay.
said,
Mhm.
"My daughter told me to my face, I sell more books if I dropped historical from the description."
Oh, yeah. I saw her say that before in her stories.
Interesting.
But also, they make a good point. They're like, Dukes are the billionaires, millionaires, like, those are so popular, the millionaire romances.
The one bed trope, nobody does that like a historical. Marriage
I
of
The
know.
one
Convenience.
horse trope is my
Yeah,
favorite,
marriage is
and when that
convenient.
happened in here, I was like, "Yeah, ride that horse together."
Marriage of Convenience just like logistically makes more sense when it's a historical than it does a
Historical,
contemporary,
yeah.
unless it's a mafia
Yeah, because
romance.
there's no actual, like, real reason you have to bury someone.
Yeah. But I feel
Exactly.
like that's why say with, like, fantasy readers reading historicals, that's why mafia, like, readers should read historicals because there's so many of the same, like, arranged marriage tropes and all of that type of stuff. So maybe they should just call it romance. Like, this is romance. These other ones are, non-romance
Are the
or,
are
like,
the
dark romance.
subgenres off of that?
Yeah, this is the original romance, and then these others are the newer stuff.
Can you
Oh,
imagine if they did a bodice ripper cover? This would have been amazing. A bodice ripper cover of Colin and Penelope on the new like, of the actor and act could you imagine
beautiful.
how Anthony
Yeah,
and Kate, like, how well that would sell if you put the bodice ripper cover of those actors on a cover?
If they were
I know.
recreating, like, the original step backs of the books.
Yes,
Put us on this Avon marketing team. They are
I
not
know.
doing
I was
a
like
job. Are you kidding me?
yeah.
That would blow up. Absolutely blow up.
Mhm.
Such a missed opportunity. What are they doing?
I know.
Yeah, but that's
Mhm.
all, misogyny. Is that what that
Yeah,
is?
yeah. The whole
But
damsel in distress.
what Carrie Ann Cole said, she put a couple on the cover and it sold 3 times more than just a photo.
Mhm.
So,
Well, I think it wasn't even like Sophie Larkin when she was doing the Brutal Birthright series that they said their Amazon sales, if they had a guy on the cover, sold way
That's
more.
what caused her to
Mhm.
go viral, was her Brutal
Yeah,
Prince cover with the guy.
Precisely,
yeah.
and covers.
So it's interesting that like ebook sales, or I don't know, like I guess, well, on Amazon or like online sales for books, people are picking them up if couples are on the covers or people. But like,
Yeah.
so then in stores, are they not wanting to pick them up? Like, what's going on?
I don't well, yes, because they're embarrassed
Yeah.
in public. Like, they'll buy it for their
Hmm.
Kindle, but they're
Hmm.
embarrassed to be reading it in public.
And see, that's what doesn't make sense to me because I don't understand how you're embarrassed. Maybe I shouldn't say this. I don't know. Understand how you're embarrassed to read this on public, like what on the train. First of all, where are you reading in public? Okay, like are you on the New York train reading? No. So I'm just saying. But then they go on freaking TikTok and quote like the most outrageous,
Yes.
steamiest, dirty talk, whatever, as like a little clickbait title. And I'm like, you do realize social media is like viewed for everyone. So like you can't be
Way more
embarrassed.
people than even a train will see you reading.
Exactly.
And sorry, like anything you put online is forever. People can get access to that anytime they want. The people on the train saw you for a second. Like,
So I'm like, you're not embarrassed by that quote, but you're embarrassed by the cover. I don't understand.
yeah.
We do, we do.
Hmm.
Well, they've been conditioned to feel shamed about it, yeah.
Hmm.
That's the thing too. I'm not trying to call them out specifically because, like Jess said, they've been conditioned to be ashamed of it.
Hmm.
That goes around every once in a while. That argument.
Always those men that come on and talk about it. Well, there was this woman, I don't know if you saw it, but she was like, "If Jesus was in the room, would you be watching Bridgerton?" No. Did you see her say that? And so people were stitching
Uh-uh.
her. Yeah, she was, like, saying that you shouldn't watch Bridgerton because Jesus wouldn't like it.
Jesus was
Oh my
cool with
god.
prostitutes. Okay, if Jesus was in the room, we would be drinking some wine that he made and watching Bridgerton. Girl, don't come at me.
I saw that a couple times. I only saw people stitching it as a reaction,
Mm.
but yeah.
He was besties with sex workers, guys. Come on now.
And you can tell me why the most popular scene from the first 4 episodes of Bridgerton is the carriage scene. So,
Very true. Very true. I saw this. Wow, we're not even talking about the book at this point.
I mean,
if you haven't read it, go read it because it was amazing. Don't
It
listen
was pretty good. I saw this thing on TikTok where someone had like a watch party with like their friends, and when the carriage scene came on, they were all like jumping up and down.
Did you see? And it was all Colin when he put her dress back. You've probably seen it when he put her dress back up on her shoulder. He only used 2 fingers.
Oh yeah, we were talking about
Yeah.
that in the last live show.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, I did that. No one told me to." And she's like,
Yeah.
oh, I love it.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, so we just need a resurgence of historic romances because something happened between Bridgerton and now.
Well,
Hmm.
because like, and I was talking to Lacey about it, like, even, like, Chrissy, we were actually talking, me and Smith were talking about, YouTube Shorts, and
Oh
how
yeah.
and, like, yours did really well, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
out of nowhere.
Yeah. And I did 2 for Bridgerton, and they've been doing really, really well. But, like, my actual videos about historical romance aren't. But 2, 3 years ago, they were, like, my highest watched videos on my channel.
Hmm.
But now, no one's watching any historical romance content either. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know. It's interesting. Which I don't know if it's just because Bridgerton's popular right now, so that's trending, or if people actually want the historical romance content in short form. I have no idea.
Mm. It's just different trends within the community.
Yeah.
But I wonder if certain authors were still writing, if it would help, like the authors that were so popular. Because even Julia Quinn isn't writing anything new. Like,
That's
would
true.
she, if she published a brand new historical romance, would it be number 1? Like, the
Yeah,
deepest
because
right now?
they're already household names. They don't have to establish themselves, so it's difficult for authors to try to establish themselves in a genre that's essentially dying.
Yeah.
But, like, the trend of historical romance lasted, like, 50 years, so
I
it's
know.
just, like, feels very abrupt to end it, you
The
know?
first romance considered romance, like, historically, was a historical romance.
Was historical romance, yeah,
Yeah, I
and
think it
it's just, like,
was.
the first time where it just, like, is literally, like, just dead, like, it just abruptly died.
Mhm.
Actually, the New York train was a horrible example because you guys have, like, the lending library, and you guys leave books on the seats, so that was a terrible example for me, but you know what I meant.
Which going back to, like, the historical thing, maybe they should just get rid of the historical name and classify them as, like, Highlander romances, like, Regency
Oh, okay.
romances, like, the time frames, you know what I mean?
Ooh, like a Regency romance, yeah, that would just roll off the tongue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I see a lot of people using Regency romance just in general for all historical romances, not realizing that that's just, like, a short time, and thinking that's just
Oh, that
how they
it's
are in general.
historical, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because there's so many things you could do with an historical. You could do Regency, you could do Highland, you could do
Mhm.
medieval, pirate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe just classify them like that as, like, the trope, because, I mean, that's, like, what dark romance is. It's contemporary romance, but it's dark, and, like, that's how they,
That's
you
true.
know.
YA fantasy particularly, or like adult romantasy? Because I haven't picked up a YA fantasy in a while.
I would agree that, like, why it used to be YA fantasy, but then when people started picking up romantasy, like, they kinda stopped with the YA fantasy, because YA fantasy used to, like I'm thinking, like, Shadow and Bone, Six of
Mhm.
Crows, like, that used to be huge, but I don't even know the last, like, big other than Powerless, which is more new adult, I don't know
Yeah,
any, like, YA fantasy.
because those
Yeah.
readers grew up, so now they're reading adult
Yeah.
shit.
So, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But I feel like it's just, like, a rite of passage to read historical romances, like, really, really young. So, it's like I read it in high school,
I
and I was
did it.
like, those were some of my first, like, spicy romances I was reading. Well, I guess so then, like, you pick it up and you're not expecting it to be super spicy, but
I was a Wattpad girly. That was my
I
introduction to
never
romance.
got into Wattpad, so this makes me think
Um,
of your TikTok you posted. Sorry.
oh
I was
man,
reading my grandma's V.C. Andrews, which had, like, step
Oh
backs, but I
god,
didn't know were step
no,
backs at the
like,
time.
Flowers in the Attic?
I started reading those at 12 and 13, like, binged those series, like, that's my starting point for reading, like, romance, so, like, Forbidden, Taboo, Wild, and Out of Control, like, I'm already used to that, like, it's fine. Yeah.
that's funny. That's funny. We all had
Mhm.
different
I know, so,
experiences.
like, people act like I know Monica said, like, that, like, in school they're reading Butcher and Blackbird and Icebreaker, but I was like, it's a generational thing where there's always something
Oh, for
that
sure.
people are
Yeah.
reading too young, like, and that's just what it is now, and it's just easier to but I mean, even, like, VC Andrews had normal covers, you wouldn't know that they're there's got a lot going on in there,
But
I
so
there's
don't even
Wild,
feel
yeah.
like it's any easier because fan fiction like AO3, Wattpad, all that stuff was very easily available when I was a kid.
yeah.
Mm.
I do think it's more so available now with kids who have their own technology versus, like, you had to sit at the family computer. I don't know if you had a family computer, but we had like, growing up, we had one computer,
Mm,
like, in
mhm.
the loft that we would share until in high school, then,
Yeah.
like, I got a computer, but, like,
No.
that was before everyone had their own computers.
Yeah.
We had one family one.
No. Oh man, that's funny. Danielle Steele. What else? What else? Julie Garwood. I didn't start reading historicals until I was an adult, but that's because
Me too.
I read a lot of paranormal and fantasy and like dystopian. That was really popular when I was younger.
Mhm. Yeah. It's interesting, the trends. I hope they keep them around, but I don't know, because I mean, Julia Quinn did write, I guess, that Queen Charlotte thing, which was at the height of her Bridgerton hype, and that I feel like didn't do
Mm,
super well, like, as a new book from her, as far as, like, sales.
because it felt kind of like an afterthought. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Like, I wonder if she wrote something I think people said on the last live show, like the other historical Hellions we did last month or this month too, that somebody said she's focusing on like the anti book banning type stuff or whatever that is, and like not writing right now. But like if she did, I feel like she'd have to write something outside of the Bridgerton world. But then I don't know if it would do well because of her being like popular for Bridgerton nowadays.
I
I
mean, you
I
could
don't
do
know.
a second generation.
True.
The kids.
I had like a lot of people comment on my like Bridgerton short, and they were saying that they didn't realize the books were old enough to have like bodice rippers and step backs, or like they thought Bridgerton was like a new thing that she just created like for a show. And I was like, these books are like 20 years old.
Yeah. The first book was in the 90s.
Yeah.
VC Andrews.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting trends. Something we always think about because we read historic romances still, but
like when we started the book club, they were still like huge.
peak historical is when we started the book club. So we kind of, it's funny because when we first started the book club, the whole reason of starting it was to read, classic ones before the year 2000, trying to find like ones that we haven't read. And now it's like the opposite, where we're like, we only enjoy the older ones. We don't enjoy any of the newer ones.
Yeah. Though like Lorraine Heath, I feel like there's just a couple that I'm like, they still get like the essence of what a historical romance is.
Yeah.
But so many lean towards the rom-com.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there are some that are independently published that's, right on Kindle Unlimited or stuff like that. And those are good too. But again, they just don't have the marketing. Like if Scarlett Scott got picked up by like a large publisher and her marketing was a little bit better, then I could feel like she would be someone like Julia Quinn or Lisa Kleypas.
Well, even like Elisa Braden.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Oh, I don't know. That's a bold statement.
I know. I was like, that's interesting. I feel like it's stayed the same.
Yeah.
And I feel like with her books, like either she's been writing for so long that she can just write whatever she wants and she's not getting into historical romance new, or like some of these, like the Lenora Bells and stuff who are just starting, they do that more rom-com style. So like Lorraine Heath, I feel like she's been writing them for so long, so she does like angsty and drama, and either her or her publisher just like lets her write whatever. And like I feel like that's why hers stay the same. I don't know. Yeah, hers are so good. I just have her new one to read. I'm saving it.
Her audiobooks are too thickly accented, so.
Oh, I don't think I've listened to
Oh,
it.
really?
Yeah.
I liked the audios for her Rescued from Ruin series.
I don't remember which one I tried to read, but I was like, a little too thick of a Scottish accent.
Oh, that's probably her second one, her Highlander series.
Yeah. I will say for Angelica's comment about like having the clips, you're not allowed to, or else you'll get copyrighted. So that's why I don't have any clips, because then I can't monetize my video.
Yeah, Tiffany was just talking about that one.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some that you can show, but others
you can show certain scenes and they won't flag it. It depends on the scene.
From
and if you're having enough and if you're having enough stop moments to actually react instead of just watching and like not talking, like you have to make it, because it's like under the fair use disclaimer, like you have to be adding new content to it. So like having a commentary on what's happening or breaking down the scene, comparing it to the book, like you have to have enough break moments to do that instead of just like sitting there watching it.
One of my reaction videos got flagged as like copyright, and I couldn't.
There's certain scenes. Yeah, I think Tiffany said anything that's like in the trailer or the promotions are scenes automatically that get flagged.
Yeah, but I was more so talking also about my book videos, just like historical romance book content. That's what would do. Like my favorite historical romances has like 50,000 views. Like people were loving historical romance book content. And now I posted my reading vlog of Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. Nobody cared. And I've posted like other historical romance videos in the past year. Nobody's watching.
Just different trends for sure, but we still love historicals.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. But like what authors do you feel like could save it or bring it back? Like bring it like Joanna Shu, or because I feel like she's still writing them, but
Selfishly, I want people to come back. I want Lisa Kleypas to come back, Beverly Jenkins to come back, Tessa Dare.
But I also
True.
think a lot of it is in the hands of the publisher, like
yeah.
who they're pushing. And I'm like, I don't see anybody getting any in the mail. Like I think a lot of us got Romancing Mr. Bridgerton in the mail from Avon,
Mhm.
and they were really pushing that after the show came out, which I guess is like they were trying to like push it after the show came out. But like Beverly Jenkins, I saw like maybe 1 or 2 people get it in the mail. Like you have to promote the book,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and they're not.
for sure.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
anyways, those are our thoughts. Overall, we didn't like the actual historical we read, His Forbidden Touch.
Yeah.
Had a
I am
lot of
excited to try more from that author though, because her writing was
I
really
would too.
easy to get into.
Yeah.
Yeah. My library had a lot of their books, so I'll probably go back. I'm kind of interested in the time travel one now.
Me too.
Yeah.
Sarah McLean has had like a new historical every summer, but now she's doing a contemporary next.
Yeah.
I don't love her new stuff though either.
Me neither. I stopped that new series. It wasn't for me. But I feel like contemporary, I did like a contemporary novella I had read from her, so I feel like she could do contemporary really well.
Yeah, I think her historicals were like leaning too contemporary for me, and that's why I didn't like them.
Yeah,
They did
same.
read like a contemporary, and then she even changed 9 Rules to Rake, like the cover that looks like a
Yeah,
contemporary cover to
that's
me.
true. That like prom cover look.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, have these rebrands of any historicals actually worked?
I know.
No.
I don't know.
Which it will be interesting if some of these authors leave and like if Avon's not pushing like historicals anymore, if like a new publishing house or imprint or something will take over, you know, or become a thing.
That would be super interesting, actually.
Like Bloom came in and took over all the indie romances. So
Yeah. Because that's what I've heard about Lisa Kleypas and Sarah McLean, actually. Like they're biding their time and waiting to leave Avon because their editor left and they want to go where she is.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah, so Lisa Kleypas's editor left, I think like 8 or 9 months ago. Somebody talked about it like last year. And she's been like with that editor forever. And I know Sarah McLean wanted the same editor as Lisa Kleypas. Like she talked about it in some of her early podcast episodes. So they have the same editor, and that editor left Avon last year. And supposedly people on like Reddit and other conversations about Lisa Kleypas like supposedly think she's just biding her time out to end her contract with Avon. So because she just wants to write with her editor, like she doesn't want a new editor. And so that's why she's doing these like re-edits. Yeah, I don't know. So that's why she's just like doing these re-edits, why Sarah McLean's doing a contemporary for them, and that they'll leave and possibly do historicals elsewhere.
I wonder what their contract is like, because before with like Harley Quinn, they had a contract under their name, which is how so many historical romance authors ended up having multiple like pseudonyms. So I wonder what their contract does look like.
I think somebody mentioned it was like a certain amount of books per year. Like I think all their contracts could obviously be different, but I think somebody mentioned like certain amount of books per year. So that's why Lisa Kleypas is like doing those reprints and things that count as like a book for that year, but not a new book. Yeah, or like those doubled up books that she's been doing.
I need to like go on Reddit and do some Lisa Kleypas.
There's been like a convo over there for like years about her type of stuff happening.
Jess is gonna start a whole new company just for historicals.
Listen, is that not that bodice ripper cover? Is that not a genius idea?
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, people would flip out over that.
Are you kidding me? If it was Nicola and Luke on the cover.
Yeah, they should have done that.
And I bet you, I like want to contact Nicola right now. I was like, listen, help me save this genre. Please go get Luke and do this cover for me.
Do it. Like,
so into it. Are you kidding me?
She would do it.
I'm not gonna ever contact her personally, but like,
because I mean, they're already doing all the like promos and photo shoots. Like, just throw on some historical outfits and get to like from the show. You already have them.
Just rip the shirt a little and like you're good to go.
That carriage scene alone could have just been screenshotted right there.
We also need, like, is it Pinot? We need, like, iconic.
Oh, yeah. The
Yeah.
watercolor type of.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we even, like, have that anymore, like, anybody that's, like, just so iconic. Did he retire? Like, what even happened to him?
I don't know. I know that other artist,
What?
is it Victor something, is still doing stuff?
Really?
Yeah, he's on Victor Godino or something, I think. He's on Instagram, and he did, like, the newer Lorraine Heath ones where he takes the photo and then does, like, art on top of it. Like,
Yeah.
he still does things.
Pino D'Angelo. Hold on, I'll tell you right now.
Oh, yeah, Victor Gardino. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I wasn't sure about Pinot because, like, he's been doing it or did them for so long. I wasn't sure if he was still around or what.
Yeah, I feel like he's not still around.
I know his daughter, I believe, was on social media for a while, and, like, I think she's an author or something.
No, he passed away a while ago, 2010.
Hmm.
Pinot did?
Yeah,
Yeah, 1939 to 2010.
yeah. That makes sense because a lot of his art is on, like, 80s and early 90s, so, like, he would have already been, like, an adult at that time.
Yeah, his Amanda Quick ones were in the 90s.
Yeah.
Well, and that's also an issue is that we're having all these, like, trailblazer people from the time pass away.
I know.
Okay, Reddit is the place to be, and we need special edition Bridgerton covers, not the ones that they're releasing at Target. All right, very
Yeah.
interesting. All
And
right, we're
Jess
gonna
is starting
wrap
her
it.
own publishing company.
Oh yeah, Jess is starting her own publishing company for historical
historical
Right
romances.
now, we're gonna solve the problem.
Yeah,
Go ahead and call it the historical Hellions.
that'd be so fun.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up. We will have our live show for June next month. We'll have the date on our Instagram page. We're gonna read
Mhm.
"Oh Come the Morning" by Shannon Drake.
I have to
Oh,
find
yeah.
a copy. I have no idea where that is.
Oh, fine, you have a hardcover.
Yeah, I wanted this cover, so I think it was only available in the, like, first printing for hardcovers.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
So
All right,
pretty.
so we will see you guys next month to chat about that book. Bye.
Bye.